Welcome to Outside the Box edition 325 for October 4th, 2014. I'm Ansary. Tonight we're going to show you a number of different videos and comment on a number of different topics. You may have caught the show a couple weeks ago where I was talking with my friend Alex about the micro camper. We'll go ahead and roll the first video without audio, and there's been some progress on this homemade micro camper, which has been, in a way, a form of artwork. And it's still a work in progress, but this is video that was shot between late August and late September. And again, I would call this not a tiny home, but a tiny, tiny home. Or micro camper is another term. And if you've never seen these things, you can go to Google Images, you can get online, you can go to YouTube, and there are so many different versions of this. And so this is something that I made with a friend, and it's 4 feet by 8 feet. Can't quite stand up in it, but it's large enough to sleep in. And it's large enough for, as you can see here, is hardwood floors or imitation hardwood floors. And most of the materials were bought brand new. This wasn't salvaged wood from some, parking lot in Northwest Industrial or in some other part of town. This was all bought full price at Lowe's and Home Depot. And so with certain projects, you want to do that. You want to get the good wood. You don't want to be using pallet wood. And like I said, it's still a work in progress. There's different things that I'm looking to add to this, but this allows me a little more comfort than what I was previously experiencing since I returned to Portland back in March of 2014. Now it's about 7 months later. It's October of 2014, and I'm sleeping in something that allows me to have a better night's rest in the Portland area. It's a city with a lot of traffic, a lot of noise, a lot of bright lights, a lot of screaming maniacs, a lot of different things that might keep one up at night. So I am happy to report that is some good news, that I have been getting better rest. Now, if there's someone out there watching this show right now that may have some workspace, that may want to work on another one of these, that may want to do some other experimental things, I'm all about learning to build right now. And by the way, that's my computer. It's been has been working for a couple of weeks, but I'm glad to have a friend take a look at the hard drive. So I put a lot of my time and effort and about $1,200, $1,300, money that I made, doing odd jobs here and there. It all went into this, and also about 4 coats of paint. And it's okay to say hi to me when you see me in town, but I'm not going to be able to say hello back when it's at the corner of Burnside Road and Burnside Street in Gresham. I was heading from Boring back to Oregon, back to Portland the other day, and someone yells, "Alex!" as if I'm going to turn around and go, "Yes," as I'm flying past someone. But that's what it looked like a couple weeks ago. It's since been finished. You just saw the roof right there. It's a metal roof. I'm happy to say that this thing is waterproof. It doesn't leak. And even though we cut windows out, for the winter, that's all going to be insulated. In fact, I already have some rigid foam insulation right up there. And so with that, that's all we're going to show. If people want to see the full 16-minute video, they can visit my YouTube channel. And there's all different types of videos that have been chronicling my travels the last couple of years. Also, some of the older editions, older episodes of Outside the Box can be found at the YouTube channel. At some point, I'm going to be working on AlexAnsary.tv again. But for now, people can find more videos over at the YouTube channel. Now, this next video that we're going to show, this I really found to be inspiring. There's an elderly woman out there that has been living in her tiny home on wheels for 30 years. And there are some women in today's society that may believe things like, well, if I go out and I do that, I'm going to get raped. And I've actually seen some people comment, well, if I were to do what Alex, is doing, something bad would happen to me. We just can't go and travel the United States and go, live in the middle of the desert. And I understand there are certain issues that clearly women face in those situations and in life in general. But when I see an elderly woman living off the grid, living in freedom, without dependency even on a man, I see a strong human being. And I see basically an inspiring story. And with that, Bill, we're going to roll the next clip with audio And, you know, there's more about this woman and other pictures that one can find online. We'll be back in a few.
Well, this truck is a result of a hippie who was already living in a vehicle getting an inheritance. I lived in a Metro step van for about 4 years. This was on the road for 20 years. The last 11 years, 10, 11 years, it had been parked in one place. It didn't move until it came here, and I thought it would never move again.
Okay, like the steps will have to be moved, or this wood, of course.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get all that done. You either trim the tree or knock the fence down.
It's heavy as hell, isn't it? The design of this truck was copied from Roger Beck's truck with permission. He's the one that wrote "Some turtles have nice shells." It's a regular double-sized bed, and then there's room around the edges, and then on both the either side of these walls are nice cabinets. This is where I sat and made most of my bags over the years. This is curly maple, one step down from bird's eye. The floor is oak. This is koa wood from Hawaii. The walls are cedar. We neglected to say outside the siding is redwood.
Wow. And I believe this is all down in Taos, New Mexico, or that general area of northern New Mexico, which isn't too far away from the area that I was staying in southern Colorado, the San Luis Valley. There's some really interesting folks down there doing some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, so we'll come back. And if you look at all the different images that are out there online, tiny home on wheels, micro home on wheels, there's lots of different models and lots of easy ways that you can get started today. And there's more than one reason that somebody may want something like this in their backyard. There could be an emergency situation where someone becomes homeless and there's just not enough space in the house. Maybe a relative, maybe a father, maybe a mother, maybe a son, maybe a daughter. Maybe there's still love within the family and you really do generally want to help someone stay off the streets, or maybe there's someone that you care about like family, but there's just not enough room inside. As long as your neighbors aren't trying to act like the state Stasi and they're not going to like rat you out and call in the authorities and say there's some, you know, unpermitted living module in the backyard. You know, if you don't have problems like that, then you're in the clear to create some extra space in relatively not a whole lot of time. But it helps to have a trailer from somewhere like Harbor Freight or something to build it on. And in some areas, the building codes are far more lax than in other areas. The codes are different. Things are zoned in different parts of the U.S. So in some areas, this will be easier to do or to drive around. We mentioned a couple weeks ago that in the state of Oregon, you can drive this around out getting some without an extra permit or without paying extra registration, but that's not the case in Washington, and that's not the case in other states. You know, you're gonna have the cops right behind you. So if I were to drive this cross country and go to Colorado, yeah, I would definitely check into what the state laws are. So there's a couple things that I want to mention tonight. Of course, we're not going to be getting into the latest hype concerning Ebola or concerning ISIS or concerning other manufactured threats. And I've spent years and years addressing the manufactured threats in the media. If you don't have a basic working knowledge and basic understanding that some of the things that are in the mainstream media are absolute lies, I don't know what to tell you. But not every show, and certainly they're not going to be focused on sitting there debunking the propaganda and lies and mind control that's so prevalent in today's world. Got to spend a little time on the stories that do need some coverage, including stories that are occurring in our own backyard. Now, there's a video that you may have heard about, maybe not. Russia Today did a story on it, but I don't believe the local media spent much time on it. And it relates to a raid in Gresham on the 2nd of September at 4 o'clock in the morning. And the gentleman that you're going to hear in the next tape, he came outside when he saw 5 or so tanks rolling past his house. His house, an apartment complex, is in an apartment complex, his apartment rather, just outside of Mount Hood Community College. So he's a little shocked to see 5 tanks rolling past his house. He starts filming, and this is the exchange right there. Let's go ahead and just X out the title, please subscribe, and let's go ahead and begin the video again.
It's not past curfew.
Stay inside.
Hey, go inside. You're going to be arrested for interfering. You understand?
No, I can be out here.
You're interfering right now.
No, it's not past curfew.
This is the police. We're serving a search warrant.
I can't see nothing.
2825 Northeast 23rd Street.
Go inside right now.
Anyone inside that location,
It's a lawful order.
stay where you
Okay?
are.
No, I'm
with your
okay.
hands
I'm
up.
Go
fine.
inside right now.
I have no weapons. I'm fine.
Do not
Go.
resist. We
And
do not
Hey,
want
this is
anyone
my
to get hurt.
place.
Yeah, go.
All neighbors stay inside and away from windows.
Hey, this is on iCloud.
Yeah, come here.
Hey.
So after this, we'll go for one replay, go about halfway in.
Put it down. Okay. Just grab it for a break, please.
So there wasn't really any coverage of this that I know of in the local media, but if they were, I don't think they'd be on the side of the young man. But the men that come over and assault him, they don't look very old themselves. They themselves look like kids, especially this guy. I mean, he looks straight out of high school, straight out of community college himself.
No, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Right now.
Maybe this is
weapons,
the only
I'm
way he
fine.
knows how to feed himself.
Hey, this is my place.
Yeah, go.
All neighbors stay inside and away from windows.
Hey, this is on iCloud.
Yeah, come here.
Hey.
You're under arrested.
And then he says he's under arrest.
Put it down.
Now, according to the guy that uploaded this to YouTube,
Quit resisting us. Do you understand me?
he's been fined about $5,000, I believe, and charged separately 2 different counts. So I'm not really sure the status of his case, but there is a case. And he posted a couple of pictures of his face, and he's got at least 1 clear strike mark to his face. And then somehow or another, like the whole side of his arm is bruised. Now I can understand maybe someone grabbing him. He must have been thrown to the ground in a pretty rough manner to have that many black and blue marks on his arms. So that happened just out in Gresham. Now the second video was filmed by the same person on the 15th of September, 2 full weeks after that particular incident. And apparently the place that they had a search warrant for, I was curious about this, well, it was a meth house. And the meth house exploded 2 full weeks after the situation you just saw. This is the other video from his YouTube channel.
The neighborhood was blocked off for 2 hours. This is what's left. You can notice this is the same house that was raided on 9/2/15 about a week and a half ago. The windows are still busted out, boarded up. Same with the door. Let's get a little closer. First thing I want to point out is that it smells like chemicals. Really bad. So you can see that, you know, the fire was obviously inside the house. Whether it was up in the roof, I have no clue.
Stay inside.
So that was some sort of fire, some sort of explosion out in Gresham. And so the Portland area in general is seeing outrageous growth. And places like Gresham, they get the spillover. There's more crime that ends up in Gresham due to the hardcore gentrification happening in north, northeast, southeast Portland. A lot of people are forced out to Gresham, but I think there are some criminal transplants that are coming from elsewhere, coming from Southern California, coming from other places that end up in Gresham because of the contacts that they already have there. Now, there's something about Gresham. Gresham's a very dark place. It's a very corrupt place. The police are far more aggressive in Gresham. And by the way, I've noticed that Portland police seem to be pulling people over less since, I don't know, the year 2000 when I was 20 years old, 14 years ago. And I suspect that there's so much money coming in at this time with all this mass migration to the city for lots of different reasons. We'll talk about that in just a moment. That I think that either the head of police or someone at City Hall basically put out some sort of bulletin to the Portland police to be a little bit more welcoming to all these people that are bringing so much money to the Portland area. Because I know that when I was 20 and younger and a little bit older, that general time period, there was a lot more police activity, a lot more harassment, and now it's like there's this huge campaign to say, hey, the police are your friends. You know, you see all these bulletins popping up around town. Here is so-and-so. He grew up in Northeast Portland. Look, they've got their arm around your little Susie. You know, and they got the arm around the dog. And it's like, yeah. And, you know, we're moving further into the surveillance society, the militarization of the local police, as we see in the last clip there. But just because that's Gresham and that's not Portland, that doesn't mean that it's no cause for alarm. You know, Coin 6 did their own report. James, if you can hear me, of course you can hear me. In one of those previous videos that we already played, if you could type in Coin 6, militarization of police and Portland. Militarization of police and Portland, Coin 6, those search terms into YouTube. And after Ferguson happened and Obama came out and spoke against the militarization of the local police, as if that's something that he actually stands against. He represents that same system of oppression, and everybody knows that, unless people, you know, have some other cognitive issues that they haven't yet come to address yet. And so that's just there to get people to think, oh, he's concerned about what happened in Ferguson. So Coin 6, do we have that video from Coin 6, militarization, police, Portland, using those search words into one of the YouTube search bars? Okay, we'll go ahead and play that. Because in this report, they're making light of it. They're saying, yeah, you know, we're on board with that, but there's really no cause for alarm here. But we're going to continue to collect whatever tools, whatever gadgets, whatever gear we can collect. If we don't have the clip ready, I'll just go ahead and go to the next video. Do we have it? Okay.
Police. And after things exploded this week in Ferguson, Missouri, many are criticizing the militarization of police across the country, the weapons and equipment local police forces now have.
There's a feeling that you have to justify having it, so you have to find reasons to use it, even if those reasons you know, aren't really commiserate with the threat that the police are actually facing.
I started taking a closer look at police forces here in our area.
Fortunately, that's the reality. It's gear we need to have in reserve and ready because the moment we need it and we don't have it, we have a problem.
Among the equipment Portland police use, 2 armored vehicles, SWAT gear, camouflage,
Why do you need that kind of equipment?
And an assortment of
for our CERT
red-colored
team,
dildos.
for example, we have 2 armored vehicles that we purchased new, had custom built for us through companies that do that. And those vehicles are rated to stop rifle rounds. That is 100% for the protection of the members of the team that are in the vehicles and for the protection of the community.
I also looked into the little-known
Have I ever
1033
told you
program.
how
It allows
sick the
police
local
forces
media
to
is
take
starting to
in
make me
surplus
feel?
military equipment.
I mean,
State police tell me they
profoundly
had
sick.
nearly 200 rifles and guns that they got from the program, but returned earlier this year. They still have 2 V-150 armored
I mean,
vehicles.
it's like watching
Washington
the
County
national
tells me they
mainstream
received
media
a few
when you're watching the
rifles back
local
in
news.
2006.
The graphics, everything, the
Clackamas
language
County
you're
provided
using,
a
the
list
tone of
showing they
voice.
have
Everybody
14
stay
rifles,
calm. We've got
an
ice
armored
cream.
truck, a
We've got ice
mine-resistant
cream from
vehicle,
Walmart.
several
Everybody
night vision
stay
units,
calm. We've
medical
got a
equipment,
cop for every
and a
kid.
welder.
Everything's fine. They
Multnomah
brought
County
teddy
Sheriff's
bears.
Office spokesperson tells
You know,
me
we're not going to pull you
they
over for a little
currently
bit.
have
We're all
nothing
glad
from
you
the
came to Portland with
1033
your
program.
money. Here, let's do some
Portland
photo
police
ops
say
with
they
you,
also haven't
and just wait
received
till things
anything
get
from
really
that
bad.
program
What kind of a
recently,
city are your kids
but
going to grow
rather
up in?
buy and maintain
Look,
all their own
a massive
equipment.
The bottom
infrastructure
line
is
is
in
most of the
place
equipment we have is
for
the
attract and
protection of
trace
officers and the
population.
protection
But
of
let's
community.
talk about
Certainly
Portland.
we hope we never
And thank
need
you for
things like,
finding
you know,
this,
patrol
and thank you for
rifles. We
rolling
don't
this.
need to have things like
But
armored cars.
let me explain. They want to act like, oh, we're different than this. Portland, and I'm not the only one that sees this, is shaping up to be a globalist city. What does that mean? What does that mean to be a globalist city? What it means is it's a city where certain forms of globalization will be seen, internationalism or that type of a thought, New World Order thought, certain types of technologies unraveled for the population. You know, these people run around with their iPhone 666. It's a miracle some of them don't fall into a manhole or a tragedy. I don't know. It's all relative as to, you know, what side of the fence you stand on, whether you're one of those cell phone addicts or whether you're still a human being, you know, who is not constantly transfixed on a monitor or a screen. And we see Hank Paulson coming to Portland a couple of months ago. He's talking to the Portland City Club. Hey, Portland, Oregon would be a great place for the, you know, the tax by the mile. The tax by the mile plan, oh, to fight what they say is causing climate change or global warming. And so they have a conference a couple months ago. Oh, you know, with Google and all these different iCloud, we can have all the different cars talk to each other. You know, just let's immerse ourselves with these technologies, with these smart meters, all this smart growth, smart cities, Agenda 21, micro apartments, you know, all these pretentious people run around that don't seem to have true empathy for others that are suffering in the world, that are more about being their own celebrity, you know, living out their own little world. And there's a difference between the pretentious transplants in Portland, Oregon, and true native Portlanders. I want to thank those that have shown their appreciation to me through either an email or some sort of sign of acknowledgement that you understand the things that I'm saying about how our city is spiraling down the tubes of despotism. Okay, and it's attracting some of the wrong elements, and those beautiful parts of our culture are at risk of being eradicated forever from this region. Without even getting into things like earthquakes and public safety plummeting incrementally, I've mentioned before, it's difficult to be a young man of marrying or dating age and live in a city where there's so many reports about things being done to other people, or things being done to women, or certain men losing their mind and running after a woman naked, you know, within a direction. You know, when I hear about stories like that, I think Portland, Oregon. I think the real Portlandia. And I'm concerned about where things are going from here on out. The city clearly attracts a certain element, and for those that think that they're not crazy, those that think that they're sane, those that think that they're doing fine with their jobs and their new homes, I see an element of greed. But I want to stop and thank those that have either emailed me or commented elsewhere that you do understand, because most people just attack me, and there are many people that have been my friends in the past that see some sort of twisted enjoyment in belittling me, because I don't want to see our society completely collapse into one where we just only care about ourselves, where we're just simply sitting around worshiping ourselves or selling our beauty to someone, you know, acting like a prostitute in some way, shape, or form, whether we be male, whether we be female, whatever race, whatever creed, whatever religion. Okay, the world has enough prostitutes, the world has enough Johns. Okay, this show is not about partisan politics, left or right. It's far beyond that. and it's really more about philosophy, sharing a unique philosophy, an outside-the-box philosophy on life, and talking about some sort of short-lived revolution. You know, there is a reason why we are here in these bodies, why we're on the planet. But on another level, there's a reason why we're in Portland, why we are where we are. Now, we all have our own purpose for being in Portland. What's yours? I know there's a lot of suffering here. I know this city is like a magnet for people that seem to be lost in a way, like a lost soul. I see the anxiety written on most of the women that live in the city, and I don't know that they are cognitive of the fact that things are very much different outside of Portland. I don't mean to say that Portland's a horrible place and everything else is better. No, there's a lot of suffering across the planet. But I hope that people are learning something from these shows and at least starting to look at their reality in a different way. Their own anxiety, their own fears, their own rage, their own dysfunctions, their own drug addictions or other addictions. If you've been here for a period of time and you're lost in some sort of, egomaniac or, alcoholic phase, or you're constantly angry about something, someone's backstabbing you, someone's doing something, oh, that neighbor over there, oh, that neighbor over there, oh, that person down at City Hall, oh, the white people, the black people, the Mexicans, oh, the Persians, oh, the Persians, oh, the Muslims. This behavior is synonymous with city life. It's like a rat's in the cage, and I'm not going to keep going. I'm not going to keep going. What I have come to learn since returning to Portland is that there are people in this region that are deeply steeped in poverty. They're just one paycheck away from the streets themselves, and what it does, it changes them. Some of you had respect for me years ago. Somehow or another, I stopped doing a show for a couple of years. I left you. I left you. And there is that type of attitude. Oh, he left. Who you think you're somebody? Oh. What the hell is wrong with you? I know that attitude's out there. Then some of you are new viewers, and I apologize for all that needless information about the past. Let's just say I have come to notice how this city will change people into seemingly human people, human beings, into heartless, machine-like automatons, just driving to the next job, to the next class, just racing on a wheel. Well, the wheel, dude, it's going around, but we must race on the wheel. Where the fuck are you going? Where are you going? I'm going somewhere. You're not, you homeless loser. I'm going somewhere. I've got something. Yeah, as long as you're paying the money for that place. And I feel for people that are trapped, that allow themselves to be trapped, that hate on others, that seek to have their own freedom and happiness. They should not hate on others. They should seek to deal with their own sadness. Well, what would make them happy? Well, I'll tell you what, happiness for me, it's about a sense of community. It's about a sense of true accomplishment. It's a sense of being happy with myself and the path that I'm on. It's got nothing to do with what restaurant I just ate at. It's got nothing to do with the cigarette butt I may or may not have just smoked. It's got nothing to do with that buzz. That may have been a great microbrew. That may have been a great IPA. Good on you, dude. Great game. Just, yeah, whole team. That's fine. Enjoy your friggin' basketball and all that stuff. Don't you see the zombie apocalypse, however, around us? We're not going to waste our time using the term hipster. Too offensive. But this pretentious apocalypse around us, don't you see the emptiness? I know there's a few Portland natives out there that have got to at least understand part of what I'm saying, even if you're violently opposed to it. There's something about what this city can influence some people towards when they're not on a spiritual path. Whether it's the spirit of oblivion with addiction, or whether it's using their beauty, and I've noticed there are some beautiful people here. There's something about those nature elements, it just brings out the goddess look. Just, and people shaking, and just people are trying to sell that so they can get some credits. Back to the hamster wheel. Back to the hamster wheel. Just shaky, 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 shaky. Back to the you ain't ever gonna own that apartment. What are you doing? What is this? You're gonna sit there just channel surfing like ooga ooga booga. urban monkey woman, monkey man, just, oh, we watch TV all day long, oh, we no go outside, no time for community, no time do our own show, access TV, no community radio, TV, oh, hamburger, ISIS is coming, Sharia law for me and my daughter, it's horrible. You know, some stuff can't be argued against. Can you really argue about a person that goes, you know, those gosh darn Negroes, if there weren't too many of them, or there weren't so many, we wouldn't have so many problems. You know, you talk about those people out in the city that look like, oh man, don't put a nuke around this guy. He'll blow up the whole neighborhood. Oh, and just don't get him started about Syria, or those sand Negroes. Oh no, they're going to get, you know, and I hear people refer to people from that part of the world in some really derogatory ways. And yet in the real Portlandia, there's a whole lot of people out there that don't know that there's a whole lot of hate. Not just around the world, but in this city. And we need to support those that survive that abuse from society. And society itself, including Portland culture, today is very much out of balance with anything that I would describe to be progressive. It's a complicated issue. And if you talk to the alcoholic about their alcohol problem, there might be a violent response. I'm noticing that some people that choose to participate in groupthink identify themselves to be a Portlander when we're all so more than that. We're more than our first and last name. You know, we're more than the genetics that our father gave us, that our mother gave us. We're more than those things. You're more than the skin tone that you have. I'm more than the skin tone that I have. So why wouldn't you be more than the city that you reside in now? And why, if you care about a city like this, would you be so disrespectful to Portland natives when you yourself may be a transplant? Answer that one for me. Okay, so going to the next video, this is called A Persian Woman Speaks.
What happened that we went to such a deep
We'll be back in a
sleep
few.
on this planet? Deep, deep sleep of many thousands of years, forgetting how connected we are to nature and that we cannot destroy our own environment. How come humans are the only creatures on this planet that destroy their own environment? Our own life-giving environment, oxygen, earth, water, each other, animals. What happened that the respect went away? How did we forget our ancient ways of creation and taking care of the magnificent planet that we live on? How did we degrade to such a degree of disrespecting half of the human population in the form of women, thinking that they are less? How did it happen that somewhere along the point humanity decided that the people with black skins or darker skins or other skins than white for some reason are lower? What has happened to us? What happened that we see atrocities over and over and over again, lies and lies and lies by government systems that are for sure out of alignment with nature, for sure out of alignment with reality, for sure out of alignment with goodness. And we listen to their lies that they keep force-feeding us down our throats and our minds through their media, and we accepted it as reality. What happened that we sit down and spend hours and hours of our life in front of TV shows, the garbage information that comes out of the mouth of the media, which is controlled by the same people who have lost their souls. And their only propaganda is to teach you and I how to be away from reality of loving each other and caring for each other and caring for our planet and caring for all the creatures and do whatever in our power to connect.
See, I'd rather her
and
just say
to
it for me
heal
right now.
and to protect each other rather than destroying each
Maybe
other.
maybe if a woman speaks to the women,
What
okay,
happened that humanity became
maybe the
only
message will get
creature
through
on
if
the
it's not a
planet
man saying it, if it's not me saying it.
that
Maybe if she says it,
destroys
it'll get
its
through.
own
But she's saying the
kind
same thing
in
I'm
the
saying.
most
But I'm negative when I
ferocious
say it.
ways, over
Okay,
and
well,
over
let's
and over
listen to
again.
her then.
And
Go.
we accepted that as our reality. What kind of regurgitation of stupidity and garbage we were fed with that we forgot our origins. Our origins is nothing but the purity of the universe, the natural law of the universe, the beauty that is within all of us.
The beauty that is
humanity
within
will love
all of
each
us.
other. In crisis, humanity runs to help each other. Yet, when we are force-fed and brainwashed by systems which want more than anything else our separation from each other and our hatred towards each other and controlling
ain't that the real
each
Portlandia?
other for them, then we get lost and we forget.
Why aren't women like
We
this in
forget
Portland?
the most essential
It's weird.
things about who we are.
I mean, well, yeah,
and
you
why
know,
we have
you
come
know,
onto this
the age of my mother
planet.
and grandmother.
We keep eating up lies.
Interesting.
Every year we see a
Generation
new
after
war.
generation.
The
Okay, we'll come
same
back
set of
because I'm going to
lies
play a
that
couple
set
more
up other
videos
wars
before
goes
we leave
into
tonight.
this new war. And
But hey, for those watching online, that's called A Persian Woman Speaks. She's got 20 videos. 20 videos. She just started in the last couple months. I rather enjoy her videos. I watch a couple of them and I'm like, I really like what this woman's saying. And I think that there should be more women speaking their mind about whatever it happens to be, other than doing the mainstream media and the military-industrial complex and the big banks and big pharmas, bidding for them. Reading the teleprompter and saying everything is okay, just keep your eyes on the boobies. We need to have more women that are involved in alternative media. I said this years ago. We're starting to see more of it with the easy access to technology. They don't have to come to an Access TV studio. They can now flip on the webcam, as she just did, and dozens, hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions can see a video. Are her views in the hundreds of thousands or millions? No. Some of them were just in the dozens to hundreds. And that's where people's priorities lie. I've also noticed that there's a certain amount of women out there that will rush to support an alpha male type of character. Be they on the radio, I'm the voice of reason. Someone that is super dominant, or someone that's going to be, heavily involved in the fear porn business. We all know about that guy down in Texas. How prolific some of this disinformation can get. But I posted this woman's video on Facebook, not a single like. A couple males, but not from the females. And sometimes I notice that human behavior. And I think that there are things that have been encoded into our body based on whoever are the true creators of the human clone, which we are, and could be. I'm not misconfusing that with the ultimate creator, and I wasn't trying to go all deep tonight, but I guess now we're going there. Whatever we are, however we were designed, this isn't an attack on either sex, but we were designed a certain way. And there is body consciousness, and there is higher consciousness, and there's certain codes, there's certain programs in our blood to behave certain ways, to be submissive or to be dominant, or to serve a slave master, or to seek to have your own slaves. That behavior seems to exist. You got that video ready in our society. So before we go to that, there is a lot of general distrust of Persians and Arabs and people of darker skin without getting, deeply involved in a long diatribe. This is video from Mike Bluehair. This is, well, the video speaks for itself. We'll just go full screen.
This is Mike Bluehair recording for Film the Police Portland. And the police are breaking up a fight.
So in the land of debauchery down there, where all the brothels were, for those of you that saw my Shanghai episode, that's all where all this, childish behavior is taking place. And even though the sun's been more active, and I talked about the links between solar flares and violence.
It's Saturday, September 27th. I'm right in front of a business or a bar called The Tube in the entertainment district.
Despite the fact that there's a lot of police down in the nightlife district, there are more and more cases of this type of violence that we're seeing in Portland. It's as Portland as Voodoo Donuts. It's as Portland as the Portland bike ride. It's as Portland as the microbrew. It's as Portland as the keep it weird, sign. Something's happened in the news and you never see it in real life, and some stuff happens in real life that you never read or see about in the news. It goes both ways. A lot of stuff goes down in this town, especially in downtown Portland, Oregon, USA. Very strange dot on the map on Earth, indeed. These fucking Iraqis are going around hadn't raped enough of your girlfriends back home in Iraq. We're station. We invaded you. We invaded you, Iraqis. We invaded you. And we tortured defenseless men, women, and children. And now I'm gonna come home to America, and I'm gonna scream, and I'm gonna drink. It says Portland as Voodoo Donuts. I mean, what do you want me to say? There are a lot of lowlifes in this city. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Only a few of you I can even call a friend. I don't even know most of you. This town is full of the strangest individuals. Heaven forbid you're homeless, then you're nothing at all. Doesn't matter how long you've been on Access TV.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
But I'll tell you what, man, I do believe in angels, and I do believe in protection. Whether you think I'm a nobody for saying that, because you know what? I ain't run across a whole lot of people like that doing that shit to me. I've been on the air for a long time talking about what's really going on. You'd think I would be dead by now. You'd think some things would have happened to me by now. You'd think I would have my tongue cut out by now. You'd think I would be hanging by my testicles by now, tortured. Alex Ansary found with power tool holes, dumped on the side of Columbia Highway, Columbia Road. Nobody saw it, nothing. Maybe 5 people at the funeral, then gone. But you know what? I'm still alive. And this is still a dangerous world. And you know what else? You know what else? ISIS is using the Ansary name. What the hell? Talking about looking at the eye of Sauron there, ISIS, this manufactured group by Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United States, is using the root of my last name. I'm not a Muslim, half white, half Afghani. The root of the last name goes straight to the root of Islam. Oh, wow. What kind of luck is that? Let's try that roll one more time. Wow. Let it ride then. Let it ride. I've done what was right. I've said what was right. And I don't live a life looking over my shoulder because of somebody that I burned, someone that I hurt, someone that I tortured. These people coming back to America, they're the ones looking over their back. They're the ones having the episodes in the middle of the night. They're the ones waking up screaming. I ain't waking up screaming. Now that chill will come. That hair will stand up on the back of my neck as I look down and gulp and see Ansar al-Sharia. I type in Ansar and ISIS. You can do the same thing on Google and go, oh, and then you type in Ansar, find out what that is. That's where Ansary comes from, and see how you feel. It ain't Jones al-Sharia. It ain't Ike al-Sharia. It ain't Ventura. al-Sharia or al-Islam, it's Ansar. So when you're in it to win it, you don't hesitate. You don't think twice. You go all the way without holding back. Someone sent something to me a couple weeks ago. You know, an old girlfriend, Alex, does this mean you could be on the list? You know, it's 2014. How long are we going to go over this crap? The fact of the matter is, Jack, before we go in the next video, Mark Passio, the Big Five Limiters of Human Consciousness. Great topic. Glad we're playing that tonight. Most people assumed I'd be dead by now, or that if they were to help me, something bad were to happen to them, or would happen to them. Here I am, how many years after starting this show? 9 years. I come back to this town homeless, start my show up regardless. No one's there to help, but someone does help me build my own tiny home on wheels. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor who has survived a world that's killing my kind. And I don't just mean racially. I mean all those activists, all those good people out there that by mainstream society, we're nothing to them. We're garbage to them. We're not contributing anything because we're not their slaves. And we're trying to tell other people that there are, as we go to that clip in a minute, religions of the world that are keeping people in a psychological state of bondage. And these slaves don't know they're in bondage, and they get upset when you let them know they're enslaved to some form of indoctrination, whether it happened at school, or their parents, or a religion, or the workplace, or they're in a relationship where there's someone trying to control them. Slaves that are not ready to be self-responsible do not want someone telling them that they're a slave. And I am a living testimony to how society can treat someone if you go too far outside the box and you start rocking the boat intentionally to get the slaves inside the cages to start realizing that they're in cages, so they start shaking and they start making some noise until they get out of those cages. And a lot of cages that people are in, they may not want to hear that they're, oh, that's negative. Why are you saying I'm in a cage? I like this. They feed me in this cage. This cage is plush. This cage has dildos. This cage has digital TV. This cage has frozen pizza. Who are you to tell us life in this cage is not right? Who are you to try to take away my cage and tell me to get outside? There are things that I've invested inside this cage. So as long as people want to keep playing the games, playing those type of psychological games, like acting like a monkey, throwing their fecal matter at someone trying to help them, they're going to get what they've always got. And hence, there's a reason why the world's in the state that it's in. You know, we can go ahead and talk about the president, or the next president, or the last president, but it's missing the point. It's missing the point. And Portland, Oregon is a microcosm for a macrocosm. You can definitively find all the dark, devilish evils of the world in this city, as well as acts of God, as well as miracles, as well as spiritual teachers from all the traditions of the world. You will find them in Portland. You will find all the spiritual traditions. Even if you will not find all the races of the world, even though this is not a racial melting pot, this is a spiritual melting pot, even if they're not on Access TV, even if they keep their thoughts to themselves, even if they only talk in small circles. I know there are conscious people in this town. And there's a reason for that. But that energy, that powerful energy, that earth energy that seems to speak to those people, there are dark, dark, dark earth energies as well on the lower plane that are misleading people towards oblivion, towards greed, towards self-worship, towards lying, towards debauchery, towards so many different vices in the city. You can find it all in Portland, Oregon. And perhaps that's why, the real reason why some people have chosen to call Portland, Oregon home, to find themselves, to either bring out that inner devil that cares about no one except themselves, who's completely okay living in a society where we just practice musical chairs with the places that we try to afford to rent, as we practice rotating our partners in some weird polygamous cult style or network, which very much Portland seems to be.
If anybody is coming
Go ahead.
to this seminar from the perspective of modern, organized, institutional bodies, meaning political
Define
thought,
yourself to be a
political
Portlander,
agendas, political
fits in that,
organizations,
okay?
religion, religious thought, religious organizations. I'm talking about organized religion here.
Putting yourself in a box.
What I call scientism. Not real science, but scientism. Science as set up by institutional bodies to be rigidly skeptical belief systems that blot out anything that could possibly say anything to the contrary of their pre-existing beliefs. I call that scientism. Okay? And of course the New Age movement, which you could group that in with religion. It's just it's for those who don't fall into the religious mindset, this is an alternative religion proposed for them, and they call it the New Age movement. And I tell people, please don't think this is going to concur with any of these belief systems, with any of these boxes for consciousness. This presentation is going to shatter these boxes. It stands outside of all of these, because these are limiters for perception and thought.
Mark Passio.
They want to place everything in a box, say nothing outside of this box is fit for human consumption, so do not go there. And as a result, they act as a mind control influence. The other and biggest limiter of the human perceptions and the mind, and ultimately of our behavior,
do not go outside that box. Only call yourself a Portlander. And
you
throw
want to talk
rocks
about
at
the biggest
anybody who
religion.
doesn't like our democracy.
These other
and child
religions
sex
aren't big
trafficking.
enough and
Call 'em a
powerful
hater.
enough for you. There's the one that is the ultimate power in the world, the ultimate religion,
no money, honey.
the God of this world, if you will.
No place to live.
So
how do you like that, Jack?
What I'm basically
Out in
saying
the
here
streets
is
with
if
ya.
you're already
No
in a
park for you. No
mindset
soup for you.
approaching the, let's call it the discovery of reality, or the exploration of reality from any of these perspectives, you will be sorely disappointed here today by what
You'll
we're
never
done here,
bartend in
because
this
the
town
information
again.
here falls well outside of any of these institutional limiters for consciousness. Okay?
So that is Mark Passio. His website is whatonearthishappening.com. He's also the organizer of the Free Your Mind Conference. A lot of great videos you can check out there. Free Your Mind Conference. I understand there's some people that don't have the internet that are watching right now. I appreciate the fact that you're watching. I want to let you know there's a world of information out there beyond the mainstream media. There's a whole world of information out there. Some of it is disinformation. You can hear disinformation right here in the Portland area, evenings on 101.1. Are you scared yet? Well, better keep listening. Maybe the voice of reason can help you figure out what's going on, because apparently if you're listening to people trying to mislead you, you don't know what's going on. There's always going to be a snake oil salesman. There's always going to be a fear porn artist who's out there who knows how to keep things literally like it seems like the world is ending right now. Oh my God, you've got to develop some sort of childlike trust. Oh, it's almost innocent listening to some of these guys that are on the radio that are just trying to penetrate your mind with lie after lie after lie. Because once you've shown yourself to fall for a few manipulations, why not open up the whole, basket of goods and see how far you can really take it? And I've seen how far some people have actually tried to take it. And it shocked me what people will actually believe and not realize, oh my God, it's a show. It's a show that's making a mockery out of conspiracy research. And there are so many shows like that that have popped up. And all of a sudden we're seeing the mainstream media promote these shows. Yay! They're talking about FEMA on True TV. It's Jesse Ventura, the guy that used to be a part of the Satanist WF or WWE. But hey, it's Ventura! And he's buddies with that guy down in Austin, Texas, who likes to snarl and make lots of noise and say this is what the freedom movement's all about. There are some really weird characters out there in alternative today. It makes me embarrassed to be a part of anything called the alternative media. The way people are treated, the way they talk about other people, the way that they seek to dominate the spotlight. And regular people see this coming in, they're going, what the hell? What the hell? No! No! And then once someone starts listening to this, anything that these people say, it's like it becomes religious zeal. What, did you hear what so-and-so said today or yesterday? The bottom line is that alternative media, independent media, grassroots media, to me, as I wrap up here, we got 4 minutes left, it's a spiritual practice because speaking the truth isn't popular. You can go and you can speak the truth in your community and you can see what happens. And you can play a certain role for a while, and if it's somewhat sensational, if it's somewhat on the edge of the seat, people respond to it. If you wear a suit, I know you have noticed that I don't wear a suit anymore. And I know you may have noticed that I may have seemed more professional when I wore a jacket. I'll probably wear a jacket in the future. Nothing wrong with wearing a jacket, but it's a social experiment. Wear a jacket for a period of time, then go travel, renounce material things, and come back and don't wear a jacket. Major difference in how you're received and how people view you. And so life is not about materialism. Alternative media, independent media, it's a spiritual practice. We speak the truth. We take risks. You know, when they came out day one after 9/11, they said they were building up a terror database. People that had names that sounded like well, how am I supposed to feel with ISIS using Ansary? Come on, don't tell me you're a dumbass. Well, you read those reports after 9/11. If you have a strange sounding name, if you sound like Obby Dobby Dobby, Durkey Durkey, you might be on a listy listy. Now back to The Simpsons. No, you didn't forget those days. It's like they just happened yesterday. So it takes guts to be in my situation. And it takes strength and perseverance to keep going when society says, you know what you're doing and what you're trying to do, the community and society does not value it. Well, what it's really taught me is that there's no faith, there's no point in looking towards man, or heaven forbid, woman, for the thumb up that I'm doing okay. Because the thumbs up that I'm doing okay has come to me in other ways, but it hasn't come through man or woman. It's come through different signs, different synchronicities, having everything that I need, maybe not everything that I want, but having absolutely everything that I need, and having the freedom to do it, but also the fact that I've survived such a dangerous world. As long as I have. I'm now 34 years old. You might think I'm a kid because I'm 5'7" or 5'8", and I may look like I'm in my early 20s, but don't call me a kid, punk. I'm an adult. I'm an adult who's never broken a single bone in his friggin' body. I'm an adult who survived a lifetime without having to deal with death threats and stalkers and all this other shit that people think would happen to me. What really happens when you speak the truth? Society turns its back on you, because the essence of the philosophy that I preach is self-responsibility is the key to evacuating the cage that we're in. And all of a sudden, you can see a room full of people all pumped up about the in-game scenario thesis completely empty itself if you dare mention themes relating to self-responsibility. God, heaven forbid, especially in our relationships. Be you a man or be you a woman. So I want to thank you for watching. It's been good for me. I hope it was good for you. The YouTube is youtube.com/AlexAnsary. There you can find some of the other clips that I've been producing the last couple of years. AlexAnsary.tv is my website, and I'll be updating that shortly. My email, if you care to get a hold of me, send me some hate mail. Tell me what a horrible person I am because I don't think you're a sweet little, pretty little goddess, princess, or king. That is Alex_Ansary at hotmail.com. See you next week. Thanks for watching.